And the other, I'm going to try to make sure that other one is defeated just because it was faulty. Let me make sure this is recording. Everybody can hear me? Hope everyone can hear me. Okay, good. That was a test. Testing that out. All right. So let's get on with the show. The copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringed. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Hope everyone's having a great day today. I am recovering still, if you can understand, and please bear with me with my voice since I had oral surgery. It is going to be a long process before I'll be able to get dentures now and everything, but I'm healing. So in Matthew 18, verse 6, but whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that he were drowned in the depths of the sea. A lot of people are so against God and everything, saying that how cruel God is, but even He does not like what is going on, what is happening with our children. It says so in the Bible. All right, so I've got. I was going to do the universal code, but a minute ago when I was doing the other live, it messed up and it would not stop. So I had to stop doing that, and I'm not going to share that. But everybody knows like a video or you're in front of somebody, you do open hand, you put your thumb, tuck it in, then close your fingers over that. That is a sign. Help. I'm in trouble. Help me. So remember that, please. So without further ado, I get to the very first one I want to talk about is 10 arrested in Johnson County child solicitation sting. So I'll first get to that, and that was in Indianapolis. So I'll go ahead and I will share screen because that's what I do. I share the proof. And at YouTube, we call it tickets. Okay. I want to thank. Okay, I'm going to show y'all what happens behind the scenes of a sexting operation. I will have to change the settings or the or the volume thing. I allow y'all to see how the settings get changed. So if y'all ever have
Drop your phone. All right, we got one in custody.
Some of them are bashful about the 15-year-old now, so they're like, well, if you're 18 or something like that, we'll go for that. So not all of them, like I was talking to Wyatt, will be a felon. Usually they're felonies right when you get there, but if they're coming to solicit sex for 18-year-olds, we might not be getting felonies at that point. It's going to be a little bit different than we do our prostitution stuff, because usually we're in way control of everything with the prostitution, the room number, the girls coming, the lot guys identify who's dropping them off. But this is a little bit different. Usually they come in pretty good. We've not done it at a hotel before, but sometimes they're real nervous. So this is some of the stuff that they say, they don't care about age. They know that one of them's 15. Right here, you just said, I don't mess with little boys. Or don't mess with little boys, you want a man. They can take care of you. So, I don't know how old he is. I don't know if he said or not. He knows we're both in high school. Wants to me, my friend, and my mother. Asked if my mom was single. Told me he'd be my daddy. I tried to let it get to me, but I'm sure I got kids, so there's a part of it when these people come in, it's hard to keep that, emotion, in check. So that's the only struggle that I've had with it.
Is somebody coming right now?
Get out of the shower.
Out of the shower where?
I don't know. Here locally somewhere. I think he's in another hotel too. Hey, we're gonna meet him at the elevator on the second floor. That's when he's up here. Two of five. We got one in custody up here. Can you close that CR and open another one? It will be open in a few today. All the same people need to be on it, please. He's on the wrong street, what he said. We have his live video feed out in the hallway, so for officer safety, we can monitor who's coming to our room since we don't have that ability right now. So our room and the UC room there, and there's the hallway going outside. So we should be able to tell who's coming up to the room and who's walking away from it from out here. We're ready for you, and he's going to fucking line He was supposed to still had, so looks like tonight's a wrap, so we'll call it.
That really showed well what goes on during a sex sting operation, how they go about doing this. And then in Indianapolis, where 10 were arrested in Johnson County child solicitation sting, but this was December 11th, 2020. but still, it matters. 10 people were arrested this week in Johnson County on charges connected to a 3-day child sex sting called Operation Firewall. According to a joint release from the county sheriff and prosecutor's offices, 9 men were charged with felony child solicitation in the sting, according to the release. These men are 62-year-old Michael Gajewski. So if y'all got friends at YouTube, these names, please check out these names to make sure, my friends, make sure you do not have these people's names on your friends list wherever you go. Keep your children safe. The 62-year-old Michael Gajewski, 58-year-old Russell Paul Burke, 46-year-old John R. Doolin, 29-year-old Robert Owen Bland, 24-year-old Preston Miles Carpenter, 37-year-old Gregory Stinnett, 24-year-old Jason Michael Cleveland, 37-year-old Freddie Perez Batten, 57-year-old John D. Kent. Stinnett and Cleveland were initially charged with dissemination of material harmful to a minor, also a felony for pictures or videos sent to the fake profile. Okay. A woman who arrived, one of the men, was charged with misdemeanor drug possession. During a Friday press conference, Johnson County Sheriff Dwayne Burgess said he sat in on the sting and was disgusted with people who solicited someone they believed to be a minor. It just simply turned my stomach, Burgess said. And it makes you wonder how many are involved with possibly where they might have kidnapped the child. They might have kidnapped the child and trapped her more. That could have been why the other woman was there and on it as well. We don't know. These are dangerous people. Then we go to the court documents detailed solicitation operation. It's December 15th, 2020. Every one of the 9 men arrested in last week's child solicitation operation admitted to detectives they intended to meet a teenager for sex, court documents revealed. They traveled to undisclosed Greenwood locations for a variety of agreed upon sex acts, which they agreed to pay 20 to 150 for, knowing it was against the law, according to the court documents filed Friday in Johnson County courts. Many of them acknowledged it would be wrong in text messages to undercover detectives, but they continued the conversation and ultimately made plans to meet up with who they believed was a 14-year-old girl, court documents show. And this was, from left to right, Johnson County Prosecutor Joe Villanueva, Sheriff Dwayne Burgess, and Major Damian Catt hold a news conference on Friday at the Johnson County Sheriff's Office Training Center about the 10 child solicitation related arrests made this week as part of Operation Firewall. And that was I believe this was in Indianapolis. All right, so we're going further down. They drove, some of them, for more than an hour to undisclosed locations in Greenwood to meet with undercover detectives posed as an underage girl. It was part of a first of its kind sting operation in the county, dubbed Operation Firewall. The operation was a partnership of the Johnson County Sheriff's Office, the Johnson County Prosecutor's Office, and Covenant Rescue Group, an Alabama based nonprofit that's fighting human trafficking. Wow, that's Alabama based. Wow, good group that even helped across, and they helped across the country and working with law enforcement agencies on operations such as this. We need to remember them. Covenant Rescue Group. Covenant Rescue Group in Alabama. They definitely need to be supported for their hard work in going state to state to bring awareness and try to help rescue these people, these kids, these women from traffickers, these men, these boys. Suspects ranging in age from 24 to 62 and varying races from rural, suburban, and urban parts of the state. I'm making this bigger so that y'all can read along with me. Represent all walks of life. There isn't a singular job or physical description to identify them. Officials said last week just one of them lived in Johnson County. Detectives with expertise and insight from Covenant Rescue Group created fake profiles on known prostitution websites. During the chats, detectives will make clear that the girl was underage, 14 in this case. The conversations continued to turn sexual in nature, and arrangements were made for the men to meet up with the girl at two separate locations on the east and west sides of Greenwood. Once the suspects arrived at the agreed upon location, knocked on the door, and entered, they were arrested and taken into custody according to court documents. Hi there. How you doing, Big Young? Good to see you. Detectives interviewed all of the suspects before they were booked to the jail, said Major Damien Katz, Chief Investigations Deputy at the Sheriff's Office. In interviews with detectives, some were apologetic and others showed no remorse, court documents show. They knew what they were doing was against the law, Sheriff Dwayne Burgess said last week. Some would pace back and forth before knocking on the door or sit in the car for several minutes before approaching, he said. The 3-day operation conducted from Tuesday to Thursday last week resulted in the arrest of 9 men and an Avon woman. Avon woman, an Avon saleswoman? Oh my gosh! Who was traveling with one of them, which she was arrested for having drugs with her as well, I read earlier. Morgan Warden, 31, is charged with misdemeanor controlled substance possession after deputies found Vicodin on her. Oh man. See, that's what I'm saying. She could have been there to help give the Vicodin to the girl and kidnap her and then trap her. We don't know what would have happened had it been a real incident of a kid meeting somebody up for this. Warden told deputies she knew of Stennett's arrangement to meet up for sex and intended to participate, but she thought the subject was 19 years old, according to court documents. Michael D. Gaiski, 62 of Morristown, John R. Doolin, as I said, these names right here, make sure none are on your friends list. Keep yourself protected from these pedophiles and perverts. They might be feeding on looking at your family's photos or your friends' photos of kids, no matter what. So please keep your kids and your family safe. So Michael D. Gadsky, 62 of Morristown, John R. Doolin, 46 of Kirkland, Robert O. Bland, 29 of Indianapolis, Russell Burke, 58 of Frankfort, Freddie Berlamino Perez Patton, 36 of Indianapolis, John David Kent, 57 of Martinsville, Preston Miles Carpenter, 24 of Greenwood, Jason M. Cleveland, 24 of Indianapolis, and Gregory M. Stinnett, 37 of Avon, are charged with solicitation, a level 4 felony. Okay, so since he's from Avon and he had that lady Avon, okay, so Avon is basically talking, she's from Avon. Excuse me, sorry about that. Stand corrected. That's easily to get. Cleveland and Stinnett are also charged with dissemination of harmful material to a minor. Cleveland was for sending a new photo of himself to an undercover detective, and Stinnett for sending a new photo and a video of himself masturbating, court documents show. Most could face up to 12 years in prison with a 6-year advisory sentence. It can be ordered to pay up to $10,000 fine. The two with pornography charges can face an additional 2.5 years. Is that all just 2.5 years? Some have already bonded out. All of them will be summoned to appear in court for initial hearings or they will be arrested on a warrant. Items found on the suspects included cash, condoms, drugs, sex toys, Tito's vodka, and White Claw hard seltzer, according to court documents. Explanations offered for following through with plans to meet up with a minor for sex ranged from "I plan to use the condom too. My hormones got the best of me," court documents show. Dennett said in a text message to an undercover detective it was illegal to date you, but I could look past that as cute and um, expletive. He told detectives he intended to do everything with a 14-year-old, according to court documents. When asked if he were placed in front of a judge right now, how he would plead, he said guilty. "I'm being an idiot," court documents said. The ultimate goal of the operation was to catch human traffickers, and local law enforcement officials plan to do more similar operations in the future, they said. Since then, they have done 5 more. I mean, let's see, since 2020, that's 3 more years. Sorry. But uh, um, Tennessee bigger or something. All right, so let me change the settings. I do shared doing the settings thing, as I said. So if you ever have StreamYard, you'll know that you need to go in there because a lot of times people won't be able to hear the video unless I do this.
Realize, look, the stressors in my life and
us by the TB. They're accused of trying to buy sex from minors. The TBI placed fake ads online in Bristol trying to arrest people who respond. One of the accused is George Chavez Lopez. From Morristown. He's charged with 2 counts of solicitation of a minor and charges accused via town.
Hey, it did a glitch. I'm sorry about that glitch. I'll go ahead and present where I was showing. This was March the 13th, 2023. 11 people, including one in Morristown, was arrested. Girl, including one from Morristown, accused of seeking minors, according to the TBI. Law enforcement placed fake advertisements online for underage sex, aiming to nab people who responded, identified, arrested, and taken to the Sullivan County Jail. Y'all know about other cases about the Sullivan County Jail. Hey, and here are the names. As I said, it's best to have these names down and make sure you do not have them as a contact on your Facebook or on any other social media, especially where you share family photos of your kids, grandkids, or anything. So please be aware. This is in Tennessee. Jonathan Michael Campbell from Johnson City. 2 counts of solicitation a minor and 1 count of unlawful drug paraphernalia. $50,000 bond. James Stevens Samples came all the way from Hurricane, West Virginia. 2 counts of solicitation of a minor. 2 counts of patronizing $50,000 bond. All of them's got $50,000 bond, I believe. Isaac Darko Adam, Johnson City, 1 count of solicitation of a minor and 1 count of patronizing prostitution of a minor. That's what the news report had just spoke of this person. 2 counts of solicitation of a minor and 2 counts of patronizing prostitution of a minor. Casey Aaron Miller from Boone, North Carolina, another one that came from another state. 1 count of solicitation of a minor, 1 count of simple possession, casual exchange. Okay, Adonis DeAndre Fields, Johnson City. 1 count of solicitation of patronizing prostitution of a minor. Stacey Ray Harrington, Luxville. 1 count of solicitation of a minor and patronizing prostitution of a minor. Ismail Villa Arzate, Weaverville, North Carolina. 1 count of solicitation. Then there's Paul Brandon Ailey. See, they're coming from everywhere. They don't care where you live. They just seek out these people. And like I said, this is in Sullivan County in Tennessee, where these guys were taken to. A lot of y'all know what I'm talking about. Paul, a minor, 2 counts of patronizing prostitution of a minor. Carlos Perez Jose, Johnson City, 2 counts of solicitation of a minor, and 2 counts of patronizing prostitution of a minor. And Bruce M. Beard, Spartanburg, South Carolina, 2 counts of solicitation of a minor, and 2 counts of patronizing prostitution of a minor. Of these dudes, here are the pictures. I wish they would have went ahead and showed their names, but because of the hard work and determination of the officers involved in this investigation and others like them who serve our community, the predators' drive and the demand for human trafficking can no longer hide in the shadows of the internet, said Bristol, Tennessee Police Department Chief Matt Austin. This operation sends a strong message that we remain vigilant and committed to the safety of our children. Be assured that the Bristol, Tennessee Police Department will continue to commit its full resources to protecting our children and making sure those who harm or exploit them are held accountable. About time. How about getting with the people in over there in Franklin, Tennessee, catch the people that is letting some of this slide, such as Judge Johnson, Deanna Johnson, and State Senator Johnson as well, and also Governor Bill Lee, that's affiliated with that certain church. That's letting things just slide. By doing something with them to make sure that all them that's happening with these people, that these kids are getting raped and attacked, and they're just sweeping it under the rug. All right. The Bristol Police Department, the Second Judicial District Drug Task Force, Homeland Security Investigations, and the Second Judicial District Attorney General's Office. Bad. Makes me mad even just seeing their pictures. Here's another one where 4 men, and this was in May, on May the 17th, 2023. 4 men arrested in Middle Tennessee human trafficking operation, TBI says. Hold on a second. Somebody's knocking at my door. Okay. Well, I'm back. Right. Like I say, I try to help others. And this is the written that in Hispanic to the people, and I will not even try to read that because I'm no good at that. So here are the 4 men. I will not call men, I'll call them pieces of dirt, trash. Springfield, Tennessee, Smoky Barn News. 4 men are arrested after allegedly seeking illicit sex from minors, according to Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. An undercover operation by special agents with the TBI Human Trafficking Unit, Springfield Police Department, Robertson County Sheriff's Office, 19th Judicial District Attorney General's Office, and TBI's Tennessee Human Trafficking Task Force was aimed at sex trafficking operations in the Middle Tennessee area during a 2-day period. Beginning May 12th, officers placed several decoy advertisements on websites known to be linked to prostitution and commercial sex to identify individuals seeking to engage in commercial sex acts with minors, TBI said. As a result, 4 men were arrested and booked into the Robertson County Jail, TBI said. Arby Neptali Otalan Lopez is charged with 1 count trafficking for commercial sex act, 1 count solicitation of a minor, and 1 count patronizing prostitution. There was another Lopez in Tennessee also that we had read a short time ago, arrested in Sullivan County. Benjamin Wade Taylor is charged with 1 count trafficking for commercial sex act, 1 count solicitation of a minor, and 1 count patronizing prostitution. It isn't up here. His Lopez's bond at $310,000. Taylor's bond is $160,000. Cornelius S. McKnight is charged with 1 count trafficking for commercial sex act, 1 count solicitation of a minor, and 1 count patronizing prostitution. McKnight's bond is $160,000. Angel Danielle San Miguel Barron is charged with 1 count trafficking for commercial sex act, 1 count solicitation of a minor, and 1 count patronizing prostitution. His bond is $160,000. This is the fifth such operation conducted by TBI special agents and other law enforcement partners in 2023. All right. So this right here is for TBI 11 sex trafficking arrest and assistant police chief arrested, and that's non-related to the police chief's arrest is non-related to sex trafficking. This was March 13th, 2023. Okay. Less than 4 months ago, data from the TBI showed that the volunteer state is topped in sex trafficking in the nation. It keeps trying to change it. Don't want me to show it, I guess. The TBI and the Tri-Cities police agencies operated an undercover investigation aimed at addressing human trafficking in Northeast Tennessee. The 2-day operation began last Thursday. I gotta pop over here to get it to quit, to get it to behave. In addition, 55 miles south of there, the TBI arrested the Greenville Police Assistant Chief Stephen Hickson on unrelated charges. Authorities placed several decoy advertisements on websites known to be linked to prostitution and commercial sex cases. The focus of the operation was to identify individuals seeking to engage in commercial sex acts with minors. Okay, this seems like this was some of the names from earlier. Okay, that was that Jonathan Michael Campbell. This is some of the same ones from earlier. As I said, make sure that you do not add any of these people it and have them on your friends list. These are sick folks. This operation sends a strong message that we remain vigilant and committed to the safety of our children. But the unrelated thing on which the Greenville Assistant Police Chief was arrested was an investigation by special agents for the TBI has resulted in the indictment of Greenville's Assistant Police Chief, Stephen Hickson. This is in connection with an assault that occurred in December. On December 11th, 2022, at the request of 3rd Judicial District Attorney General Dan Armstrong, TBI special agents began investigating allegations of assault involving Greenville Police Department Assistant Chief Stephen Hickson. The investigation revealed that on December the 10th, 2022, Hickson assaulted his stepdaughter during an argument at a home in the 100 block of Sunnyside Ridge Drive in Greenville. Today, the Greene County Grand Jury returned an indictment charging 51-year-old Stephen Hickson with 1 count of simple assault. This afternoon, he turned himself in and was put in a Greene County jail on a $2,000 bond. And that's where that'll come into play. And I love it when they're doing their job and working. Okay. I want to now, let's see, what is this in here? Get rid of that one right there. All right. I will end up playing the full press conference on on Police Chief Grady Judd. I wish we had more people like Grady Judd. I am in awe of him. So I'm changing the audio again so that y'all will be able to hear it.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being with us today. I know that you know that my number one priority at the Sheriff's Office is for all of us to protect the community and specifically our children, which are the youngest and the most vulnerable. My detectives are simply the very best, and they've been at work again. Today we're going to talk about child pornographers. Now I want to underscore that data tells us that if child pornographers had the opportunity, the overwhelming majority of them would in fact sexually batter children. So our goal is to get these folks out of circulation, get them arrested for their evil deeds, and what we're going to talk about today, I think you'll agree, is evil deeds before they have the opportunity to victimize children in person. Why do I say that? Because anytime you buy, sell, trade child pornography and view it, then the child who's in that child pornography is re-victimized.
Are you a low-income American on food stamps or Medicaid? If so, you are now eligible.
I will underscore today that even though we seized 1,276 images of horrible, frightening child pornography, in this particular operation, we did not identify any victims that we could rescue. And that's our primary goal. 1,276, that was felony 2 charges. Actually, we had 4 felony 3 for a total of 1,280 criminal felony counts or charges. Now, folks, children have been victimized through video clips and or still photos. And I'm joined today by our state attorney's prosecutor. Brian Haas simply has the best state attorney's office. Brad Copley has prosecuted these cases for years and worked with our folks on the search warrants and the arrest warrants. As we targeted these folks who are victimizing children with just the swapping and selling and looking at child porn, but you're going to hear much more in just a minute. All of these people, which is unusual, are from Polk County. They should know better, because we're coming after everyone who does this with a vengeance and will chase you to the ends of the earth. And you've been here in the past when we, in fact, chased one all the way to Australia. But what you're not going to see today, for good reason, is the screaming and hollering of the children in pain and agony and fear while they're being sexually battered. That's right. My detectives have to see the video clips of the children screaming in pain and fear and agony because of evil monsters that are creating the child porn that these people are swapping and enjoying in their deranged mind. But it's important that we go over these folks, because I want you to have a full understanding of just how nasty they are. They're nasty, nasty people. First, let me introduce you to David Sparks. He's 66 years of age. He's retired. He was in customer service, and he's married. He's charged with 350 counts of child porn that we found on a CD. We found that these children that were being sexually battered were between 3 months old and 12 years old on the porn that he had. His wife of 10 years is a retired child protective services worker out of Missouri. She had no knowledge of his evil deeds and was absolutely mortified, because she spent years and years and years protecting children, only to have his secret life destroying children's lives. Because you see, if there weren't people to watch child porn, there wouldn't be anybody making child porn. And you see him from the outside, as the detective said, he looks like a nice old grandfather, until you get into his digital devices and see the evilness that lurks behind the curtain. Then there's Stefan Young. He's 58. Stefan has a business, a photography business called Enchanting Boudoir. Now I'm from Polk County. To me, that's like taking pictures of people in their underwear, okay? But they call it Enchanting Boudoir. So we started an undercover operation against this guy because we had a concerned citizen who saw his advertisements on Craigslist that he would take photographs of people in their underwear. And he found out that they would do this also for children. So he called on us, and we appreciate this man in the community being curious, making a phone call, saying, ooh, there's something here, and notifying us, so we went undercover. He claimed that he had taken photographs of children as young as 13, not only in their lace and silk underwear, but sometimes totally nude. But he bragged that he did this with the parents' authorization. Now, we don't know who these children are yet. We don't know who these parents are yet. But I want to tell you parents something. If you're having your children's nude photographs taken by Stefan Young or anybody else in provocative, sexual, lacy underwear, we're going to put you in jail too. That is not all right, ever. In addition to that, he said he would do dressed and undressed pictures with the undercover's children. And he said, but listen, if Grady Judd finds out, we're in trouble. Because, see, he'll take art and make it pornography. Well, Stefan, it's pornography. It's not art. And your ugly mug is in the county jail. That's right. He knew he was going to be in trouble when we figured it out. Because Grady Judd takes art and makes it pornography. He justified this as art. It's not art when you're taking nude pictures of children. It's not art when you're in possession of child porn. And he also said he had, once again, this is his communication, we need these victims, that he had physical contact, physical sexual contact with two girls as young as 9 and 11 years of age. We don't know where they are. We need those victims. We're looking for them. And then he told the undercover another Grady Juddism. Don't talk to Grady Judd. If you do, I'll go to jail. He was right. He's in jail. He knew what he was doing was wrong, or he wouldn't have been concerned that Grady Judd knew. Listen, he's still under investigation. There are people in this community that know of his evilness, that know that, according to his statements, not ours, that he sexually battered children, that he took photographs, nude photographs of little children. We want to find those victims. Help us out. This is a bad man, and we want him to go to prison for a long time.
At iBuyDirect, our virtual try-on lets you find the perfect pair straight from your device. iBuyDirect.com.
Call Val. He's 40 from Davenport. He's married. He works at Disney World at Cosmic Rays Restaurant. In fact, he just recently moved to Polk County from Indiana, and he moved here specifically to work at Disney World. Well, you know, back in the day, they arrested Willie Sutton for robbing banks. He was a notorious bank robber. And they asked Willie Sutton, "Hey, Willie, why do you rob banks?" And he said, "Well, that's where the money is." Well, why do people like Paul Vail work at Disney? Because that's where the children are. And they want to be around children. He had 540 counts of child pornography from newborns to 8 years of age. He also had videos. And he was a sadomasochist. There was photographs where they had tied up babies in preparation for sexual battery. There was one where a child was just weeks old, where they had the child's hands tied behind her back. Can you believe that? A very young child with her hands tied behind her back. There's videos of a 3 to 6 month old being sexually battered by an adult male. His wife asked, she's only been married to him for a year, "Did I marry a monster?" Yes, you did. You married a monster. By the way, when we kicked the door in, he came to the door nude. Think about this for a minute. Photographs of children bound up, some with their hands tied behind their backs. Infants. And there's Jay Holmuth, 52, of Lakeland. He's married. We investigated this guy a while back and could not establish enough probable cause to arrest him. So he got a really, really lucky break that we couldn't get there on that last child porn investigation. But he had a shot over the bow. He had a warning. But he went back and he did it again. And we got him this time. You know what this rascal did? What his job was? He worked at the warehouse at Publix making potato salad. Now, I don't know what kind of potato salad it was, but you're safe to eat it now because he's in the jail, and we're not letting that rascal make potato salad in the jail. But that potato salad maker would also watch child porn when he could. He's been married 26 years. He carried micro SD cards in his wallet, maybe so he could drop one in a device and watch, when he was away from home. But he carried micro SD cards in his wallet. If you've ever ordered potato salad and you had a micro SD card in it, return it to us because it's illegal, what he has on it. Shane Osborne, 33, Polk City. He works at Best Buy Warehouse in Polk City as well. He had 200 images of children between the ages of 1 and 13 years of age. He confessed. He said, "But it's all a mistake. It's a mistake. I want y'all to know that." Because what I was looking for is bestiality photographs of people having sex with like dogs and horses. I've got a word for that. Nay, that's illegal. Horses don't want to be messed around with, and neither do dogs. They can't testify, but if you'll find any dogs he's been around, we'll give a sex battery test and see if we can figure out enough physical evidence to charge him with that. But that's his excuse. Hey, I didn't mean to download this child porn. 201 counts, and you didn't mean to. It was an accident. You were looking for adults having sex with dogs and horses. Man, you're a messed up individual. Then there's Reed Donaldson. He's 24. He also works at Best Buy, but he works in sales at Posner. He would go by the alias online as Aaron. He had 11 counts of child porn, children between 3 and 9 years of age. We arrested him at work. I don't know if we had to say, excuse me, customer, but he can't sell you a television right now because he's going to jail. But if you'll buy that television from Best Buy and turn it on, you can see his picture on it in a few days. They're all in jail. He's in jail. But William is married too. William Cuvas, 49, from Auburndale. He works for Coca-Cola in Auburndale. He had 67 counts of child porn, but to children between 6 and 10 years of age. I'm sorry, children between 4 and 12 years of age. He had 2 children at home. I underscore, there were no photographs of his children in the child porn, and his wife was horrified. Not only was he looking at child porn that covered the age range of his children, his wife is horrified, and no, his children weren't involved. We've screened them, and that's the first thing we do. The only bright spot in this investigation is apparently, from all indications, that the children weren't involved. Mama, you got time now. He's in jail. You don't want him around your children, not with that kind of nastiness. Ryan Thomas is 39, from Haines City. He's unemployed. He lives with mom and dad. Well, isn't that sweet? You're unemployed, you won't work, you're so sorry you won't work, you won't take care of yourself. Mom and daddy always will be your mom and daddy. They take you in, and the thanks that they get is we search their house with a search warrant because you're in possession of child porn of children between 5 and 7 years of age. Oh, by the way, he liked to play computer games. We saw his gaming computer, and you can talk to children on these gaming computers as well as play games with them and groom them, all while he's living at home with mom and dad. These are all filthy individuals. We're going to do our very best to send them to prison for a very long time. But the investigation against them goes on. All of their devices have not been completely forensically examined, so there will be additional charges filed against these folks. We know that we need on our boudoir guy, or underwear guy as we say in Polk County, we need people to cooperate with us because we know there are victims out there that we're unaware of. We always strive to identify the victims in the photographs, and that investigation will go on as we work with the NCMEC as well. As I close out today, here's a warning to those in the community. We're coming after you. If you're a child predator, if you're involved in child pornography, you are at the top of our list of people to investigate and arrest. You're not going to victimize the children. You're just not going to victimize our children. Any questions?
Sheriff, you said that men were from Polk County. Is there, and I know that you're working through to establish who these victims are, do you suspect or believe that any of the children might be from Polk County as well?
In this day and age, it is so easy to make child porn. Anybody with a half-decent cell phone can be in the business. So why way back in the day, before and in the beginning of the internet days, child porn was very rare and very difficult to first make and then obtain. it was easier to track where it came from, and most of it, quite frankly, came from overseas. Today, there is a possibility that it occurred here. My detectives who have to look at this horrible stuff every day recognize some of it as being on the queue, and it's just moved around the country and the world. We don't have any specific information right now that any of it was made here, but it's certainly not beyond the realm of possibility. Most of this child porn today is not what we would call professional lighting, professional photography grade child porn. It's somebody at home with a cell phone. Some of it, they go to a little further extent. But it's all horrible, and we always want to find the victims. But even if we find the victims and rescue them, every time that image is downloaded, that baby is reoffended, is re-victimized. And that's what we see is once it's out there, it's out there. And stopping it is remarkably difficult. There's also the dark web. There are evil people on the dark web that we are investigating. We're going after them. It's more difficult. They think they've got it all figured out. But there's people on the dark web that we're not getting to yet that are just as evil as these folks, but maybe more tech savvy. We're investigating them too. Don't relax. Our folks are figuring out new ways and new methods to investigate you every day. Anything else?
You mentioned that, I noticed you're bringing out that their occupations. Are you trying to say, too, in looking at them, if you saw them on the street, would the average person say, hey, there's the child predator? Talk a little bit about that.
That's important to understand that when we deal with these kinds of very dangerous criminals, they're not traditional criminals. You don't see long criminal histories. What you see is people who have committed crime by hiding the entire life that this hidden life. Many of these people have a public life and a secret life. We truly believe the wives whenever they said, we didn't know, because it's not uncommon for them to hide this from everyone.
Business has been going great. We've grown so much, so fast. Honestly,
So when you see them on the street, they can look like Joe average citizen, just like the detective said this one guy looked and acted and carried himself like just an old nice grandpa until you saw his secret side. And you saw that he's attracted to infants and that he watches child pornography. And then our research shows us that the majority of these people, given the opportunity, would sexually batter children. And children are being sexually battered all over this nation and across and around this world every day by people just like this. That's why we have to go after them. And it's easier to get the child predators than it is the child pornographers. Because if they're strictly child pornographers, they move a lot of this on the dark web, and it makes it more difficult for us to catch them. Whereas if they're wanting to attract or find children, they have to surface and go to where the children play. So in many respects, it's easier to identify the child predator, the overt child predator, than it is the covert child pornographer.
Does that make a guy like Paul, the Disney guy, that much more scary because he was around and working with kids every day?
Absolutely. And you must understand, when you go back to some of the origins of the word pedophile, it means child lover. These people love children. In their deranged minds, many of them believe, even though socially it's not acceptable, legally it's illegal, but in their mind, they think loving children is as normal as a normal heterosexual relationship between two consenting adults. Some of them believe that, especially our child predators. Even though they'll tell you, oh, I know it's illegal, I know it's not right. They've got this internal mechanism that triggers, and they'll go after your children. And if you're not all up in your children's business, if you don't know what they're doing online, if you're not monitoring it, if you're giving them space, you can be sure of one thing. The child predators fill in the space that you're giving them. You've got to be all up in your children's business. Okay? Thank you very much.